The Amazing World of Gumball is a series that has been characterized by having an impressive animation, mixing 2D and 3D, applying different animation techniques. The series maintains a very fresh humor, which has caused it to remain as one of the most relevant animated series in recent times. During this video, we will see some of the most interesting events related to the series, from the best known to the most disturbing and interesting. Level 1. Censorship within the series has always been particular. Obviously, as in all Cartoon Network series, there are scenes that were discarded to make the series suitable for children. In addition to this, the series has a lot of censorship that is part of a joke. For example, there are times when Darwin's feet are censored, and others are not. In the episode The Shell, it is revealed that Penny, underneath her shell, is a shape-shifting, fairy-like creature. She can transform into certain creatures depending on her emotions, but before this episode, we can see it looks like an anthropomorphic peanut. Since Penny's true form was shown, we could see her eyes and other characteristics. However, her family still looks like peanuts, which led many to theorize about the true form of her family, which, if so, could be mythological creatures with magical powers, similar to Penny. Others mention that Penny's parents prefer to hide their true form, but all these are only theories, as nothing has been confirmed. During the episode The Laziest, an event that happened in the summer of '83 is repeatedly mentioned. Larry tells us a little about what happened. He was known as Larry the Laziest, until Richard Watterson took that title away from him. But it is never mentioned what happened or if Richard actually did anything. This could also be seen as a reference to the birth date of the series creator, Ben Bocklett, who was born in 1983. Miracle Star is an animated series that directly copies The Amazing World of Gumball. The series follows the adventures of Miao Lushing, who is a goat, and his family. The series literally follows the same plot as the Gumball series, changing the characters and settings a bit. Mononise does not have a version in this series, because in China, you are only allowed to have one child per family, so it was discarded. The series was created mainly to serve as an advertising medium to sell milk. In the episode Copycats, they parody Miracle Star. In this episode, they imitate everything the Watterson family does. Eventually, Cartoon Network sued the creators of Miracle Star for the blatant copy they did. The Amazing World of Gumball is probably one of the series with more references to pop culture that have been made. Some are very easy to detect, while others are more subtle and can go unnoticed. From references to Super Mario Bros. Or Final Fantasy, to Dragon Ball, there are hundreds of references throughout the series. In the episode The Boredom, Darwin and Gumball are bored, and are waiting for something interesting to happen. At one point in the episode, while they are watching the clock, we can see a crossover with regular show, Uncle Grandpa, and Clarence. As always from this scene, there were those who assured that the series are connected in some way. Level 2. The Amazing World of Gumball movie, first announced in February 2021, would serve as the start of a new series that was planned for HBO Max. Tweets were made about the production of the movie, and the progress it had made. Even so, the movie would end up being cancelled in August 2022, for no apparent reason. Since all the fans of the series were looking forward to this movie, it is unknown if the series that would follow the movie is still in production. Rachel Wilson is Tobias' sister. The interesting thing about this character is that she only had one relevant appearance during the series. This was in the first season, in the episode The Party. After this appearance, she only had a cameo in another episode, and in some occasions Tobias mentioned her. However, she would not have an important appearance again. The reason behind this is that Ben Bocklett, as well as part of the team in charge of the series, were not convinced that the character would work well with the others, mainly because she was much older. This is a theory that suggests that the appearance of the inhabitants of Elmore is the fault of the city's water, this because of the words of Gumball himself, during the episode The Fan. He mentions that the water supply has been polluted for centuries, and their children will look weirder than they do. This coupled with another moment in the first season, where Darwin and Gumball are in the Elmore Water system, and we see how they bottle the water to drink there. According to this theory, the water that the citizens of Elmore drink makes them look strange, and in the future, the following generations will look even stranger. Larry is a fairly frequent character during the series. He is a character with many jobs within Elmore. During the different episodes we can see him in all kinds of jobs. In the episode, The Pizza, we can see how the whole economy of the city collapses when Larry decides to quit all his jobs. Not even 20 minutes go by, and Elmore is already in chaos. In the end, Larry decides to come back after the Watersons apologize. As we saw before, Larry was known for being very lazy, until Richard took that position from him, so it can be said that episode would serve as a contradiction to what is presented in this episode. The interesting thing is that Larry is not the only one who has been seen working in the series. A clear example is that Nicole also has a job. However, Larry's jobs cover less corporate areas, and we could say that his jobs are more important to maintain a functional city. This is a character that has caused a lot of fear to those who saw him for the first time in the episode, The Procrastinators. His appearance is very similar to Pennywise, besides always wearing an expression of sadness. This character has been used mainly in 3 episodes. However, he can be seen in many other episodes of the series, hidden in corners where he goes unnoticed at first sight, but always looking towards the viewer. It is very likely that this is done on purpose, as an Easter egg of the series, or perhaps, this character was going to have relevance at some point in the series but was discarded for being quite disturbing. Watch Out Little Teddy is a safety video that appears in the episode The Safety. It revolves around Little Teddy, an accident-prone bear who is repeatedly injured and subsequently reprimanded by the narrator. The video itself may be a bit disturbing to some. This is a gag that parodies videos of this type on the internet.
Remember kids, please take care, 'cause danger's lurking.
Level 3. The episode, The Puppets, is quite special within the series, as it was made by the same team that created the series Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. In the episode we can see scenarios very similar to the series Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, even with musical segments. This episode took 3 months to be finished, and was planned to be the finale of Season 5, but it was aired much earlier. In the episode, The Signal, Gumball and Darwin come to the conclusion that they are in a TV show, after many glitches occurred in their world. Despite this, they don't talk about it again in later episodes. But they are not the only ones who know this. There are other characters like Sarah, since in the episode The Fan, you can hear her humming the theme of the credits, and in the episode, The Shippening, you can see her with a Cartoon Network notebook, where everything she writes becomes reality, making all her fantasies come true. In 2014, the Gumball series would have its comic book version, in which the characters would be kept, as well as their personalities, and similar stories would be told. However, it would not be very successful, probably because despite having the same characters, many of the things that characterized the series and the success it had, could not be transferred to another medium, such as comics. Gumball is not the only Cartoon Network series that has had comics, because series like Adventure Time also had, having more success than Gumball. Throughout the series, we have seen how time is manipulated in different ways, so it is complicated to know if everything is part of the same timeline or if there are multiple universes. An example occurs in the episode The Loophole of the 5th season, where Bobbert hits Gumball and ends up taking him back in time to the episode The Spoiler of the 3rd season. It is never explained what happened after this. Many theorized that Gumball traveled back in time and just waited until he reached his timeline, which means that, in this timeline, 2 Gumballs existed for a while. The pilot of Gumball was uploaded to YouTube in 2013 by its creator Ben Buckley. In this pilot, we can see changes in some characters, as well as in the animation, which despite being only a prototype, still retains the mix of animation that would end up having the series finally. One of the concepts that was taken into account at the beginning of the series was that the characters would be in a school for rejected cartoons, but it was discarded for being too sad. Other changes would be made and more characters would be added to start the series. In the episode The Name, as the title suggests, we learn Gumball's full name, which is Zach Christopher Gumball Watterson. After learning his name, Gumball begins to develop an alter ego. It is somewhat interesting that this will be mentioned until the third season, as Darwin's name is mentioned from the first season.
Darwin, Raglan, Caspian, Ahab, Poseidon, Nicodemus, Watterson III.
Level 4. The Grieving is a supposed lost episode of the series, where Gumball kills Darwin and Mononise, all with a gloomy and dark atmosphere. There are many supposed images of this chapter, but there was one that managed to deceive many, especially for the title card. The Void is a secret dimension where characters and objects from the world, particularly Elmore, are erased from the world due to being mistakes. This dimension also serves as an enemy or antagonist of the series, as it is a parody of the cancellation, since when a program is not seen, it is useless and ends up being discarded. The Void has TV static as its background or outer space, and the laws of physics are warped in the Void so that there is less gravity. Once a mistake is sent to the Void, it is erased from the memory of the world. All photos or images of that mistake are also eliminated. That is why the inhabitants of Elmore are unaware of this dimension. Despite this, there are many who have visited this dimension. It can also be said that this dimension is omnipresent, since it can be accessed from anywhere. It is also omnipotent, since this is the reason why everything works correctly within the world. This explains why there are objects, such as the Cartoon Network notebook, or the Universal Remote Control, which allows modifying reality, as well as all the changes in time caused by Gumball and Darwin. The episode, The Inquisition, is the last episode of the series. In this episode we can see Rob, a character belonging to the Void. He wants to convert all the characters of the series into real human beings. The objective of converting them all, according to Rob, is to prevent the Void from absorbing all of them, since according to him, humans can exist in another dimension. This is a clear reference to the real world. At the end of the episode, Rob ends up being absorbed by the Void, with the others ignoring his warnings. After this episode the series was cancelled, so it could be said that all the Gumball characters belong to the Void now. The episode, The Future, is part of the 6th season, and was planned to be the first to be aired, mainly because it contains spoilers for the last episode of the series. In this episode we can see something that many fans already knew before, and is that the mother of Banana Joe can predict the future, as throughout the series, has painted scenes of later episodes. In this one, Rob tries to know the future, that's why he needs her, and we can see how everything she paints comes true, to finally show us the final scene of the series. Circle Guy is a cameo character from the Incredible World of Gumball. He is a curly ball and is only seen in some episodes of the series, mainly in the school. This is one of the characters that has generated the most theories, mainly due to his appearance. It is unknown why he stopped appearing, and was discarded. Perhaps he was never taken into account to have a role in the series and was only used to fill the space. Level 5. This may not be common knowledge, but the house where Gumball lives does in fact exist. It is located in Vallejo, California. The interesting thing about this house is that it is censored on Google Maps, for no apparent reason. Principal Brown is a character that during the first season of the series seemed to be a simple and ordinary director. It was thought that he was a living being made of hair. But in several episodes, we have seen how he can shed the hair he has, as if it were a coat, and it has even been seen that he has a symbiotic relationship with another being in his head. Principal Brown usually acts suspicious, and even has criminal tendencies. In multiple episodes he talks as if he is hiding something. The clearest example is in the episode The Fraud, where we can see that his diploma is fake, so he is not authorized to be a school principal, so he is definitely hiding something. It has been theorized that he is actually a human. Proof of this is at the end of the series, where everyone is turned into a human by Rob, except for him, because he was already human. Director Brown is undoubtedly one of the most intriguing characters in the series. Although the appearances of this mysterious character have been few, they have always been quite important for the plot of the series. The objects he sells always end up fracturing reality or defying the laws of nature. An example of this occurs in the episode The Origins. Richard accesses inside the store. Here we can see all kinds of objects, from mirrors and vases, to a fish tank, where Richard gets Darwin, a fish that is not very ordinary. On another occasion, Richard buys the universal remote control, which as we know allows to alter reality, from the same store, where the same Cartoon Network notebook that we mentioned before. It was owned by this character, but in a chase he drops the notebook in Sarah's house. The most accepted and congruent theory is that this mysterious character is a representation of the creator of the series, Ben Bocklett, who provides his own characters with magical objects to make the series more interesting. This is a theory that says that all objects in the world of Gumball have life. The main support of the theory is the episode The World, where we see how inanimate objects have life and interact with each other. There is also the fact that the inhabitants of Elmore are mostly objects. This theory says that they are simply objects that decided to have a life, since in the episode, we can see how some things enjoy being simple inanimate objects. If real, it means that the objects in the world of Gumball are observing everything that happens around them. To say that the world of Gumball and the city of Elmore is a simulation is a theory that explains and intertwines many of the theories. Examples of this theory occur in episodes like The Money, where the Wattersons lose all their money, and their reality starts to degrade, even showing the 3D models and storyboard. Another example is The Void, which would be a simple place where the creators of the simulation send all the errors that no longer serve, or things they do not need, serving as a kind of debug system. But the clearest example that supports this theory occurs in the episode The Job, where Richard gets a job, and consequently, the whole universe begins to break, causing climatic changes, changes in the laws of physics, and even changes in the characters themselves. All this happens because Richard got a job, causing a chain reaction. This means that the program is not made for Richard to work, and that's why it started to corrupt. Besides these examples, there are many more in different episodes that support this. We can also explain that the van salesman is part of the team that created the simulation. That's why he has such important objects. If there is a way to explain everything that happens in the series, this is undoubtedly the best theory for it.